In the previous episodes, we uncovered the electoral fraud committed against the majority of the outsiders, such as Roque de la Fuente.
The Democratic Party, 3 days before the Iowa caucus, committed the first fraud in this campaign.
We reviewed what happened in Nevada.
This convention is concluded. We have finished all of it.
But, the establishment obviously doesn't like it. They would like us to go away.
And we put a concept on the table, the verdict of plutocracy. But while all this happened in the Democratic trench, the Republican Party had time to get into trouble. Throughout the years, the primary elections in the United States turned into a battle to see who can get more aggressive towards assigned enemies, undocumented immigrants, or Muslims, or who could be more irrational when it comes to topics such as climate change and nuclear weapons. It's not without a reason that in the program Democracy Now!, the American scholar Noam Chomsky claimed this.
But the fact of the matter is that today's Republican Party qualify as candidates for the most dangerous organization in human history.
Despite about what could be said about the internal process of the Republican Party for the nomination of its candidate, their policies and arguments about certain topics of extreme importance for the whole world seem to constitute fraud themselves. This explains the rise of politicians such as Donald Trump, who used to be kept and substituted by not as crazy candidates such as Mitt Romney, which couldn't be done this 2016.
Donald Trump says he admires Vladimir Putin. At the same time, he's called George W. Bush a liar. That is a twisted example of evil trumping good.
However, Romney, not as mad as Trump, supported the nomination of Senator Ted Cruz, a truly religious fanatic, member of a growing movement of Christian fascists. Christian fascists? How did that happen? More than 30 years ago, Dr. James Luther Adams, professor of ethics at Harvard Divinity School, warned many of his students that by the time they became his age, close to 80 at those times, that they would have to face Christian fascists in the United States.
Evangelical leaders like Billy Graham always talked about not getting too close to power, and he himself was used and burned by Richard Nixon. This is a dangerous and radical mutation. It is about creating, using the iconography and language of Christianity to create an authoritarian, or I think arguably a fascist state.
One of those students was Chris Hedges, author of the book American Fascists, The Christian Right and the War on America. Hedges demonstrates the existence of a movement which aims at the radical diminution of the role of the government to eventually create a theoretic state based on the Bible's laws and a world brought to the will of a Christian and imperial United States.
The mission of the Christian Coalition is simple: to mobilize Christians one precinct at a time, one community at a time, one state at a time, until once again we are the head and not the tail, and at the top rather than the bottom of our political system.
James Luther Adams said, "The Nazis will not come back with swastikas and black shirts, but its ideological errors will have found a mask for the fashion in the pages of the Bible." Senator Ted Cruz was among other Republicans, one of the ones who instrumented the end of Barack Obama's government, supporting the Christian racial ideology known as Demianism. Ideology which evokes anointed Christian leaders to take over the state and create laws and goals of a biblical nation, reducing government activity to organizing military defense, internal security, and protection of property.
The first sign of significant loss of liberty in any country is the attack against Orthodox religious people. Now is the time to bring this country back to those founding principles. Join the Christian Coalition and join the battle to protect your community and this nation.
God bless the family leader.
But how did Trump get here? Trump was repeating that the Republican establishment had a plan to try to block his nomination and that they had agreed to support Cruz. However, on Thursday, May 26, the agency Associated Press informed that Trump already counted with a number of delegates needed to be his party's candidate.
The AP has confirmed that Donald Trump has secured commitments from the necessary 1,237 delegates necessary to become the Republican presidential nominee.
To get to the Republican nomination, 1,237 delegates are needed. Trump obtained 1,238 with these delegates' support, undoubtedly. In the primary elections, we have witnessed how Donald Trump, a bully candidate, irresponsibly turned undocumented immigrants and Muslims into a scapegoat, putting them all in the same basket, as if being a Muslim meant being a terrorist, waking up to the demons of racism, hate, and intolerance. Every action has a reaction, and in this aspect, Trump suggests to turn the south of the United States into a big wall, an old idea, a bad idea.
I believe that if Mr. Trump gets elected, he will set back minorities. We have people that are 8, 9, and 10 years old that are concerned because they're not going to be able to see their families, because there's this big bad wolf that's putting this wall. He needs to be stopped.
Do you remember Pat Buchanan? In 2016, Buchanan published a book, State of Emergency, the Third World Invasion and the Conquest of America, in which he basically addresses strong criticism towards illegal immigration. If we don't take control of our borders, by the year 2050, the European descendants of Americans will be a minority in the nation that our ancestors built and created. It is clear that beyond the preoccupation with illegal immigration, there is mass racism. This is not only a case of preoccupation with illegal immigration, but of a society which has declared war to itself. This is racism. We all know that illegal immigration is a worldwide problem, but discrimination and racism is not a solution. We need to understand that Trump is proposing an idea of a country which is not new. It is inspired by the same demons that did the infamous California Proposition 187, which in 1994 suggested depriving undocumented immigrants of social and medical services and public education.
Se compara a un personaje histórico de 1941. ¿Y sabemos lo que pasó?
Adolf Hitler.
Exactamente. Yo creo que este señor es peor que esa persona.
This sect, called the Republican Party, refuses to see the reality of this country with its unstoppable demographic change, a change which we need to understand and take advantage of. How to win the democratic elections when a minority is controlling them. What may happen in the United States if Donald Trump wins? Or even worse, what can we do if he wins? Who can put an end to this big lie? We are Democracy Fails. We believe in democracy, but not in this one. Wake up!